Music from outer space. Synth-DIY.
Hi, this is Ray Wilson of Music from Outer Space, and I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes about the Synth-DIY Experimenter board. This is the latest PC board from Music from Outer Space, and it's targeted toward people who have built the WSG, or Weird Sound Generator, and have wanted or had a desire to go further in Synth-DIY. Now, although I continually emphasize that you don't have to build everything that's on the Synth-DIY Experimenter board in order to result in some very cool sounds, which I'll demonstrate later, I just want to walk through what is on the board. There are two voltage-controlled oscillators. I want to emphasize they're not 1 volt per octave, equally tempered oscillators. These oscillators will drift a lot. They're simply meant for sound effects like sirens or birds or bells or drones, that type of thing. There's a white noise generator. We have 2 voltage-controlled filters. These are low-pass filters, very simple circuits, but yet they make some very cool sounds, as I'll demonstrate later. 2 voltage-controlled amplifiers are also on the board. Again, simple designs, but quite effective. Here we have 2 low-frequency oscillators. Either of them can put out triangle wave or square wave, and they have a low range and a high range for the frequency. Now we also have 2 simple AR envelope generators, that is an attack-release type envelope generator. So these are some very nice circuits. They're simple, but yet they demonstrate the principles of Synth-DIY quite nicely. Now in the kludge area of the circuit board, there are 2 extra op amps, and what I've done is I've used them to make 2 mixers. This is the output mixer, and this is what I call a signal mixer, used to mix signals from the oscillators or noise, and then taking the output over into the filters or the VCAs. You notice that we have banana jacks on all of these modules. Well, that's because you interconnect them using banana plugs. Now, when it comes to power supply for this unit, if you don't build all of the modules, say you want a wind sound to play with, so you just make the white noise generator and 1 filter, perhaps even 2 filters, and then also the audio mixer section in the kludge area, you can easily run this on 2 9-volt batteries. Now, since I have built all of the modules, I chose to use a power supply in order to give a good clean supply of power that's not going to fade as the batteries would discharge. Now I'd like to demonstrate the operation of some of these modules so you can get an idea of what each one can do. This is one of the oscillators, and I've designed it so that when the knob is all the way down, the oscillator is completely off. And I did that so that as you raise this frequency, you can get to the point where you just start turning it on, you see, and you're getting this type of an oscillation. Now, as we continue on, we can see there's a nice range of adjustment to that oscillator. All right, and that's just adjusting it by means of the pot. Now, let's take the output of the LFO and modulate oscillator 1 so we can hear what it sounds like if you just built 1 low frequency oscillator and 1 of the sound effect oscillators. So let's raise him up some. Okay, and now we'll turn the level up. We can see that's demonstrating frequency modulation. We're using a triangle wave. And the deeper and deeper we go with the modulation, the crazier that sounds. Okay, and you can go lower here in frequency. Or higher. So you start to get kind of that bell type sound. Here, we'll turn this to the high range. Okay. that's being modulated by means of a triangle wave. Now if we turn that to square wave, changes the characteristic. Change the frequency of the modulation. You see? So here we are. We've just got one low frequency oscillator and one oscillator on the board being used. And we're getting some pretty cool sounds. And bear in mind that that is how you make sounds with this. You're switching switches, you're turning knobs. This isn't something you're going to control with a keyboard because, as I've mentioned, these oscillators are not 1 volt per octave tracking oscillators. They're simply meant for sound effects. Alright, so that's modulating oscillator 1 with one of the low frequency oscillators. Now, as I mentioned before, the output of this low frequency oscillator I also have fed to what I'm calling the LFO1 repeat gate. And you can see this on the ideas page and on the schematics as well. Now we're going to take that external gate out, which is essentially the comparator output on low frequency oscillator 1. We're going to use that to gate an AR generator and then use the output of the AR generator to modulate oscillator 1. Alright, so now what we're looking at is using one low frequency oscillator, one sound effect oscillator, and one AR generator. So now let's get this guy turned up some. Okay, turn the output level of this guy up. See, now what we've got is a very quick attack and a very quick decay. So we'll start to turn that decay up, and you can get some very cool sounds with this. Turn the attack up some. Turn this guy up. Okay. Okay, so you can see by modulating oscillator 1 with the output of the AR envelope generator, you can get some very interesting sounds. And again, how many of the modules did we build? Oscillator 1, AR envelope generator 1, low frequency oscillator 1, and then the audio output mixer from the spare op amp section.
Music from outer space. Synth-DIY.